Ron Moshier from the Utica OD. Ron, what a night you guys had, and of course Jim Kelly, really inspirational.
He was. I'm not sure how we're going to top that because he was so inspiring, and just to hear his story and what he's been through, you couldn't help but get emotional. John Pederesi and I are sitting up on the stage with him, going back and forth with questions, and it was hard for me not to get emotional sitting there in front of 1,200 people, and I think everybody was touched by it. And the thing is, Bill, that was so great about it too is I think even young people who may not even know who Jim Kelly was or is were touched by it and impressed, and it was riveting. I can't put it any other way. It was riveting. Nobody got up and left. I can tell you that. I didn't see anybody leave, and it was 3 hours where I don't think anybody got bored. And Jim Kelly again stood up there and talked about what the obstacles he's had to clear over the years, him and his wife and his family, and not just obviously in football, but in life. And I don't know, it was an unforgettable night, Bill. I'll never forget it. I know that.
And then the awards. I mean, for the first time, really honoring all these kids, these athletes from all 3 seasons of high school sports. This was a real. You guys set the bar pretty high.
I think I think the next morning I said to my wife, the only downside I think that came from that is how are we going to top it? I mean, it's and that's with everything. With the wrestlers, with CVA wrestling going 31-0 and winning a state title, with Nico Scarano and Connor Wilkes. I may never meet another couple guys like that. Hunter Richard, a super class act from Holland Patton, the wrestler and football star that's going to Cornell. It just the whole, and if I can take this opportunity to tell you a little story, which I wish I had known ahead of time. Hunter Richard's mother and father, John Richard is into hunting and fishing, and I think he's a big hunter, and I always thought that's how Hunter's name came about. Well, Gina, the mom, emailed me the next day saying what a great night it was, and that inspirational, and that we'll never forget it. Well, in her email, she told me that she had read Jim Kelly's story and about his son Hunter, and it touched her so much. That's how Hunter Richard got his name.
Wow,
and
that's unbelievable.
I mean, that was that email. I immediately had to get back in touch with her. I wish I had known that story ahead of time. But from what I understand, backstage, when you get your photos taken with Jim Kelly,
she told
the award winners, Hunter told him.
That's really cool. So talk a little bit about Jim Kelly's son, Hunter, and it was leukemia?
No, in fact, I better not even try to pronounce the name of the rare disease. So
I couldn't pronounce it either. I thought it was a type of leukemia, but either way, it was a disease, and his family went through that, which was horrific.
Yes, and then one of his daughters wound up winning a New York Times bestseller award for writing a story about a book called Kelly Tough, and about all the trials and tribulations that they've gone through as a family, and just for Jim to be able to go up there and talk about that. If that had happened to me, I'm not sure I could have done that in front of 1,200 strangers. So I have to say that it's going to be a keepsake this Sunday, a week from yesterday. Next Sunday's paper, July 2nd, I believe it is. We're going to have, I think it's 52 pages, a special pull-out section on the night with a lot of photos and more stories about the award winners and about Jim Kelly and about, I have to tell you, when I first heard that, corporate came into town, not knowing any of these people who came into town from Gatehouse and said, we're going to do this. We've done it at other papers. I have to admit, I was a little skeptical. Like, well, this isn't a gigantic city. This isn't Chicago. This isn't wherever other city they've done it. That's a bigger area with more schools. I said, I don't know. Primarily our schools are Class C and D.
Yeah,
it's sort of rural communities. You're asking them to shell out money for a banquet. I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah,
and I have to tell you, when I thought this is marketing's deal. This is not really sports. Well, it really was. It's a cliche, but it was a total team effort. When I walked in there for our walkthrough on Monday afternoon, I don't know, 3:30, and stepped in the Jorgensen Center, and saw what was set up, I was taken aback. So I know the athletes must have. I mean, we had a gigantic ice sculptures for all Mohawk Valley All-Stars in front of the front door.
And
the corporate had gone through all this because they've done it at other newspapers and other circulation areas.
What I like about this is it was really these kids. It was a real award ceremony. It wasn't the like Manaski talks about the T-ball where everybody gets a trophy. And it was real. It was based on real votes and real. You guys really mulled over this to determine which athletes would receive these awards, and I think that was a real positive. Then to bring in Jim Kelly just knocks it out of the park.
Well, that was a real positive as far as, recognizing every sport. For years, I started this almost 20 years ago now, all Mohawk Valley All-Star teams for the so-called major sports.
Right.
Well, this was every sport.
Yeah.
And we have never done that in print or otherwise. And, I have to tell you, it is not an exact science. I have gotten hate mail, like why wasn't my son or daughter on the team?
Yep.
And obviously we have to draw a line somewhere. And like I said, it's not an exact science. We get together, and I can tell you that every, 300 and some athletes that were there, they all deserve to be there.
Yeah.
I can also tell you that there are some out there that also probably deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Not probably, without a doubt.
Well,
we have to draw a line somewhere, and you can't make everybody happy. But I think the 300 and some athletes that were there, they were all happy, whether they knew who Jim Kelly was or not.
Great deal, and you'll do it again next year, I assume.
Well, that's in the plans. That's already in the works, I believe. And let's just say I have heard some rumors on who they're trying to get as another speaker, and they are big names, I can tell you that.
Right.
And, I have to say, MV did a great job. Katie Giacobelli, our events and marketing manager, she ran the show. It was remarkable what she did. She was sort of like the team leader who worked like the go-between between us, the sports department, our marketing team, with corporate, with Gatehouse Live, it's called. And, they came in with a tractor trailer. It was like a roadie.
Wow.
Like the roadies with bands, and they had it all set up, the two big Jumbotron screens. It was and so well done. The interviews with coaches and fellow athletes talking about the award winners was just breathtaking. I'm so glad my wife was there. We were driving home late that night, and I'm saying to her, "I'm glad you got to be here, because if you had asked me how it went or what it was like, awesome just doesn't cut it. It's not enough. It was that good, Bill.
You got to see it to appreciate it, and a lot of people, over 1,000, did. So pretty cool. Congratulations on the event, Ron. You guys did a great job, and before you know it, we'll be talking about next year.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Right.
And by the way, you just won an award too, didn't you?
I did, shockingly. I'm so not used to...
because Les Diven, God rest his soul, was my mentor. So,
well, I got to tell you, I met his wife and I met his daughter, and the only thing I can say to them is I will never live up to what he did, and certainly what he and his wife have done for the Boilermaker in this community. So,
well, he was a character to work with every night, and John Pederesi will tell you the same thing. He was our mentor. So.
Pretty awesome. And it's an honor to have received that Les Diven Award. That was really cool. So,
and now I'm going to go out and run and get some training in for the Boilermaker.
Because it's coming. It's coming. Ron, thank you so much. Have a great day, all right?
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Ron Moshier, Utica OD. The July issue, by the way, of Accent Magazine will be in this weekend's Times-Telegram on Saturday. and the Observer-Dispatch now on Sunday, so be on the lookout for it. This month's cover story is Rome Mayor Jackie Izzo and the progress the city is making since she took office.